Hey there, cool fans. This is Phil with my friend Dave. Welcome to another episode of Comic Cool Debates. Each week, we discuss three topics. First, we spotlight a creator involved in the comic book medium. Examples include artists, directors, programmers, and writers. Next, we each select one comic book related product. Each host reviews a comic book or a comic book inspired movie, television show, or collectible. Thanks for watching. Cool fans can support our channel with likes and subscriptions. Now, on to our first debate.
This is Dave, and in this week's Creator Spotlight, we're going to focus on diversity and how it's influencing Marvel Comics among many others. Rather than a particular individual creator, an individual artist, an individual writer, an individual producer or editor, diversity, or perhaps more accurately, forced diversity for diversity's sake, takes our center stage and spotlight. In fact, specifically Marvel wants the spotlight on diversity and not on its content creators. Look at their social media. They're not only violently rejecting fans' opinions about their creations, they want us just to focus on the characters. So let's do that. Let's pretend that some of the creators just don't exist or not readily available for public consumption. My opinion is a strong one as an adult with autism and co-parent to a young lady with autism. How many openly autistic superheroes do we see? I know of one, and we created him. We are on the NBC Nightly News. We're in an accredited medical journal. At the same time as our comic book debuted, Marvel was embroiled in a lawsuit with Jack Kirby. Suddenly, we saw new Thor, a new Captain America, and many other new characters. The media loved it, and certainly I can celebrate diversity and different interests. But these were built on a lie. They were built as part of a shell game to avoid the lawsuit waged at no less the Supreme Court of the United States of America. Now, Marvel did settle out of court with the Kirby estate, but only days before the court case was to be heard. Instead, what we got to see was Jane Foster as Thor. Not a new Thor. No, no. This was Thor. Make no mistake, the title of Thor is given to the most worthy. Rather than have a long, drawn-out, long series of showing how Thor Odinson lost the hammer or how he became unworthy, writers quickly cobbled together something so they could show the Supreme Court how their new Thor, Jane Foster as Thor, not a new Thor, I'm incorrect there, how their Thor differed from Jack Kirby and Stan Lee's Thor. Now, we have Captain America pledging allegiance to Hydra, which is simply another way of masking Nazis. Not only is having different backgrounds, different experiences, or different characters important, Marvel, and to a lesser extent IDW Publishing, must crush the white, cis, male patriarchy and replace it with lackluster stories, lack of writing. The newest edition at the time of this recording of Defenders by Marvel was Brian Michael Bendis' parting shot at Marvel, where in Deadpool's voice he challenges the idea that Marvel asked the Defenders, or comic books, to bring the thunder. In his comical satire, Deadpool says, wouldn't bringing the thunder actually be better storycraft? And he nails perfectly. We, as fans, cannot criticize diverse characters without being seen as sexist, racist, or any other ist by a very fringe group of overly sensitive writers and creators. Goodness, while we all dream of being a hero in our own right, as children we had superpowers, could fly, and do many other great things. But the current content creators have no superpowers of which to speak. In fact, they are the actual almost villains in this story. By laying blame of any even marginal criticism against their characters as somehow we're wrong, and completely ignore the fact that fans want and deserve better stories regardless of any character's skin color, orientation, gender. I don't care. Sell me a good story. Make me believe in the character. Make their cause a good cause, and I'll buy your comic books. Don't sell me a character based on diversity and tell me that I must like it or I am some ist or hate monger. No, I do have resentment, not for the characters, for poor writing. And I say this as a writer myself. Do better, Marvel. Do better, IDW. DC, I think you've learned your lesson. Keep it up. But we and other fans are watching.
Thanks, Dave, but I got a different take on the whole diversity trend, and believe me, it is a trend. I think DC inadvertently started it. They may have had good intentions, but it resulted in poor execution. Want some examples? Well, here they are. For one, hipster Batgirl. Now, when you think of Batman or a Batman related character like say Nightwing or Batgirl or Robin or whoever, you think, you know, it would be great if they were more of a hipster. Okay, odd idea, but whatever. Now, when they decided to apply this to Batgirl, it's just no. I can't think of any other word to say it other than no, but yeah, Batgirl taking selfies, living in a more hipster environment, wearing trendy clothes, caring about going to parties and whatnot. And this was also done after Gail Simone had done quite the epic run on Batgirl, on Barbara Gordon, you know, addressing how she deals with getting back into the superhero game, and her trauma after what the Joker did to her in The Killing Joke, and the numerous interesting villains that she had to fight, you know, as a result of being Batgirl again, and all the new issues. Yeah, and it was dark, compelling, and again, awesome. But all of that gets thrown out the window as soon as they decide to make Batgirl a freaking hipster. Another example, Cyborg being a founding member of the Justice League. Now, I like Cyborg. I like him whether he is his own hero or a member of the Teen Titans. But establishing him as a founding member of the Justice League, what? And throwing out Martian Manhunter as a result? Look, Cyborg becoming a member of the Justice League is fine because it shows how much he's grown, how far he's come as a character and as a superhero. But him being established as a founding member, you're basically throwing out what many perceive as the heart and soul of the Justice League, that being Martian Manhunter, for a character in a way to say, hey, the Justice League weren't all white people and one green skin guy. They were all white people and one black guy. And Cyborg, as an end result, he wasn't actually a bad character. He was actually probably the most likable. The problem is he was probably the only likable character. Every other member of the Justice League was just a complete and total jerk. Like, not Superman, Green Lantern, Flash, all the other members were just jerks. And Cyborg was the only likable one because, well, for he's the newest, he's the youngest, newest, and he's up and coming. He's not as experienced as all the others. So, what are you trying to say there, Justice League? That the more experience you get, the more of a jerk you become? And Cyborg could, depending on how long he's been there, he could become a jerk as well? Great message. Yeah. And oh, and yeah, because you're placing a teenager, 20 something, with a bunch of 30 somethings, how exactly is he supposed to relate to any of them other than having powers? One of the reasons why Cyborg worked as a Teen Titan was because, well, he was around the same age as the other Teen Titans. Therefore, he was more relatable with them, aside from having superpowers. Oh boy. Oh, and probably one of the biggest problems of them all is Wally West. Now, when New 52 decided to bring back Wally West, because many fans wanted to know, where's Wally West? Because, he was probably the Flash with arguably the most character development. He started out as a kid's sidekick, then grew up to be a superhero in his own right, and even surpassed his predecessor in numerous ways. And before the New 52, I could understand benching him for Barry Allen because Wally had a family and he wanted to take some time off. But then the New 52 happened and Wally West was seemingly erased from existence. So, in order to acquiesce to fan demand, they say, here you go, here's Wally West. But when you take a closer look at it, that's not quite Wally West, is it? No, 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 no. This was a this was Black Wally West, and it's okay to have a character to promote diversity or whatever you're trying to do. But when you create a character that fills in all the negative stereotypes about that kind of character, it doesn't matter what your intentions were, it's still terrible execution. And so people were still demanding for the real Wally West, the real original Wally West to return. So at the start of Rebirth, they brought the original Wally West back and established the other Wally West as that Wally West's cousin. And and since then he actually has grown on to be a more likable, believable character. And I think that's where Rebirth comes in trying to fix the mistakes of New 52 while also moving forward. And I think DC is on the right track. And hopefully with whatever's going on with Marvel, they can move forward as well. And finally, I just want to add this. Look, I can understand that all of my critiques may sound racist, but the problem is that's exactly what marketing wants you to think. They want you to take attention away from the bad writing, the poorly designed storylines, improbable situations, and creators cry foul or racism or sexism or whatever discriminatory words paint the reader in a corner. I mean, it certainly didn't work for the new Ghostbusters movie. What chances does it have of it working here?
Hey, this is Dave, and I wanted to let you know about the best new comic you're not reading. It's Spider-Man number 234, part of the Marvel Legacy series. Why is this a good read? Because it kicks off the new Sinister 6 Reborn Part 1. Now, this is the Brian Michael Bendis Spider-Man, some of his closing work with the company with Marvel, and this is the Miles Morales Spider-Man in that universe. I enjoyed the dawning of a new group of supervillains. In fact, I enjoyed it much more than the Miles Morales commentary with his friends. Gold balls. In fact, I wish that entire segment or even the character gold balls would be just redone or erased or rename the character. I can't take that character seriously, and I'm not ever sure if it was meant to be serious. I don't have a whole lot of background on the character. This is a launch point for me and for you, new readers, to check out this comic book. So my suggestion, just ignore that part. Cut to the part where Aaron Davis is the new Iron Spider. The technology he grabs to include a grand new group of supervillains. The Spot, Electro, Bombshell. How did Bombshell get into this? Who is Bombshell? We get a little tease of this in the story. We also have the Sandman and the Hobgoblin. It's a good read. I think it is appropriately rated T for teens based on some of the language they use. I was slightly disappointed by that. But the build-up of the super villain team is what I hope continues in the story, and how Miles Morales takes advantage of the situations, how he addresses these new heroes based on his budding relationships and tie-ins to these new Sinister Six. In fact, of this storyline, Bombshell and the Iron Spider get most of the spotlight. The rest of the characters are relegated to simple commentary. I'm not even sure Electro has much to say other than side commentary, and certainly the same is true with Hobgoblin. Sandman, again, we can see how he grows. Spot is an interesting character, but I really enjoyed the art. I thought the art, the sequential art and the storytelling, especially showing off some of the powers, some of the technology, some of the secret headquarters, that's what I really enjoyed about this comic book. I think it was really well done, and I hope that the story continues to show more building, more teamwork, even of the villainous Sinister Six. In fact, that's my best recommendation. Buy and read this book for the villainous team, not for the hero group. And that's Spider-Man number 234. Pick it up now at your local comic book store and start reading.
Hey there, Phil here, and well, I'm going to talk about the latest addition in the garbage conveyor belt that comes out of Marvel Animation. Marvel's Spider-Man. Yeah, the new Spider-Man animated series that's currently airing on Disney XD. You know, 6 to 7 months after Ultimate Spider-Man had just ended. Because when you think of airing a spin-off or reboot, whatever, yeah, don't give it a year or maybe two, just to let all that other stuff sink in. Just we got to air a new show like right now, as soon as possible, so we can capitalize on the newest live action movie, because that's basically what Marvel's Spider-Man is. It is a cash grab in some of the worst ways possible. I mean, the title, for instance, Marvel's Spider-Man. Oh, real original there, Marvel, Disney, whoever's approving this stuff. Yeah, I mean, we got Spider-Man from 1980 or 1960, but this isn't Marvel's Spider-Man. Good job. I mean, at least the 90s Spider-Man had the subtitle The Animated Series. At least Spectacular Spider-Man was just called, The Spectacular Spider-Man. It's not even, the show's not even original in its titling, okay? The animation. Oh, it is. Think of some of the worst animation you could think of for a superhero show. The animation in Marvel Spider-Man is probably some of the laziest, worst animation I have ever seen for a superhero show. And I have watched Teen Titans Go. At least Teen Titans Go is bright and colorful and wacky. Marvel's Spider-Man wants to be something, I don't know, epic and thrilling, but the characters are not fluid. The backgrounds are pathetic. They're not even fully rendered with the rest of the overall animation. They're CGI. Even the vehicles are CGI. And do you know how out of place CGI can look in a traditional 2D animation? Unless you're really talented and really know how to work that stuff in there, it's not gonna work. Okay? Oh man, and what else? Oh yeah, the voice acting. Some of the voice acting in there is really bad. I mean, you got some good voice actors here, but they're doing some really bad characters with really bad writing. And Spider-Man may as well be the worst. I mean, cuz when you 'cause they got the voice actor from Sway Sway from Breadwinners to voice Spider-Man. Yeah, because when I think Spider-Man, I want to think of a male character who can't even get the right voice for a teenage character that's always cracking, always squeaky, and always loud and out of place. I mean, sure, yes, I get that Spider-Man in the show is a teenager, but does he really have to sound so annoying? I mean, I'm talking almost like Jar Jar Binks bad. Okay, okay, not that extreme, but you get my point. And Spider-Man in the show as a character is also a complete and total dork. I know that Spider-Man, he's a nerd. Like he thinks science, he does sciencey things, and his one-liners may not always be they're hit and miss, but those characters that you see in shows or movies that can be dorkish and really annoying, and you just want to punch him in the face to have him shut up. Yeah. Imagine if they're the main character. Now imagine if they're Spider-Man. That's Spider-Man in Marvel's Spider-Man. Oh, and just to miss the point even further from what Spider-Man essentially is, a relatable character who has powers, great powers, but also great responsibility. And, he goes to a regular high school in a big city. Yeah, let's just throw that out the door and have him go to what is essentially the sci-fi version of Hogwarts. Where he goes and works on extraordinary gadgets and other scientific achievements. And I'm fine with, trying to promote science in a good, interesting way. But, you know, but when it detracts from the overall what the overall character is supposed to be, it just falls flat. It really does. I mean, science was explored in Spider-Man and science, him utilizing science in whether it be in his civilian or superhero life, that was done in a more interesting way in Spectacular Spider-Man. In Spectacular Spider-Man, the way that science was utilized was how you can learn new things and how it can relate to your life and how it could be applied to your life in the best way possible. With Marvel Spider-Man, it just seems so hollow and forced. Oh boy. There are many problems with Marvel Spider-Man, okay? I could list them all, but that would take too long. The show is practically worse than Ultimate Spider-Man. Say what you will about that show, and that show is bad, but at least it was trying to explore I guess you could say, the more superhero-esque aspect of Spider-Man, having him team up with various Marvel characters and all that, basically trying to be Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends 2.0. But at least that show had a point. This show, Marvel's Spider-Man, it's just a quick, easy, lazy cash grab. Nothing more, nothing less. Don't watch it. I did it, so you don't have to. For a more detailed review of Marvel's Spider-Man, please visit my WordPress blog, Filling In. There's a link to it in the description below. Thank you.
Thanks for listening, cool fans. Please be polite and share your opinions in the comments section. What are your thoughts on this week's creator? Do you like our reviews? Let us know. Please like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications for our channel. This is Dave with my friend Phil. Until next time, stay cool.